Welcome, Elite members, to another Introduction to Fitness Elite lesson. So let's go ahead and we're going to highlight 1, 2, and 3 here. So the process to your first workout. These steps, now that you would have identified what level you're at, if you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, this is where that selection will really come into play. So keep in mind what level you're at. So number one, fitness assessment evaluation consists of the following. The reason why this is important is, I'm just adding this in real quick. In order to know how far you're going or where you want to go, it's important to know where you start. So let's say, for example, you might be making substantial progress, but because you don't know where you started, you have nothing to compare it to. It could be discouraging sometimes because you might not think you're making great progress, and you just kind of have to rely on, I think I'm making good progress. Nope, that's not what you want to do. You want to ensure that you're making good progress by taking baseline data, collecting baseline data. So let me read out here. Baseline data, collecting baseline data is key to gauging your future progress or lack thereof. So it's also important to know if you're not making progress, why? What are some things that you should focus on, change up, or maybe it's just not working for you? All right, so number one, there's apparatus stuff. You can even use your phone or Apple Watch or a Fitbit to track certain things like this. It's not essential that you track everything, which you'll see me mention here at the end, but it is important to get things that are variable so they can change, based on your progress or, like I said, lack of progress. So heart rate, resting and active. There are videos that will be outlining the specifics of each of these. So if you want to check that out, I'm not going to go in detail about every one of them right now. Either this will be highlighted. Yeah, I'm going to highlight these so you could just click on it and go to the video, and then you can understand how to figure out each of these things. So heart rate, resting and active, blood pressure, wrist cuff test, and I'm just naming the tests that help you identify the thing here, body composition, the baseline information here, body composition, body fat percentage using calipers or handheld scanners. The calipers is more of a skill thing that a personal trainer would have more knowledge of, and of course, you being here in the program, I obviously wouldn't be ideal because I'm not there or I don't have a trainer there with you right now to check that stuff. But if you do have access to that, I would recommend going ahead and utilize that. If not, you can use a handheld scanner. I'll put a link here so you can go ahead and click that and check it out if you don't have that. Height and weight is just so you can put together that BMI calculation. The girth really is just measurement of various muscle groups: bicep, forearms, thighs, calves. So if you're gaining lean muscle mass, these things should be increasing in size. Sometimes not always the case, especially if you have a lot of body fat to begin with, then that's not always going to be the case. But if you're relatively lean already and you're just packing on extra muscle, then you should increase. Those things should increase in size. If you're losing weight, if you're on a weight loss journey and you're trying to cut down, then these measurements, of course, will be very helpful for you to refer back to. Muscular strength tests, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, sit and reach, pictures. So pictures, if there's another thing, even if you can't do any other things listed here, the pictures. Pictures are one of the best things you can use to track your progress. When you're doing that, you want to take the pictures in kind of the same environment, same light, same time of day. So if you didn't eat a lot, if it's early in the morning, take that picture. If you're taking that first picture at that time and 4 or 5 weeks later, you want to take that picture in the same type of environment. So if you're not sure, go ahead and make a little note of how you took the pictures, the environment, the time, and whatnot. If you ate, is it empty stomach? Did you just have a big meal? I would recommend doing all this early in the morning, empty stomach, and having the same type of clothes on, minimum clothes, so you can actually see. If you have a shirt on in the first one and then you don't have a shirt on in the second one, I'm talking, it's hard to see if you've made any progress because the shirt is blocking the actual anatomy. So in the event, like I said, if you don't have the ability to perform a complete baseline assessment due to lack of equipment or appropriate knowledge for a certain test, focus on the ones you can most accurately identify. When follow-up tests are performed, try to use the same methods which were originally used. Keep that in mind. Appropriate exercise selection consists of the following. This is very important. What happens a lot of the time, people are new to working out. They have no idea what to do, so they'll wander aimlessly. If you're in the gym, they'll go from machine to machine, not know what they're doing. They'll do 5 reps here and then go to another machine and probably never come back to that machine for another 6 months. It does happen. So this is very important, especially when having a structure, having a program, which you guys wouldn't even have to build a program if you don't want to. You have access to that in the library. Know your goal. This is the number one factor which will determine the appropriate exercise selection for you. Do you wish to increase muscular endurance, build muscle, or increase strength? Specific goals will require specific exercise selection. The specificity principle, tongue twister there, is how you will appropriately select exercises for your goal. Training principles are discussed in the next lesson, so pay attention to that lesson. Very important. The main factors which will influence exercise selection is how much time will you have for each exercise session, available apparatus, personal preference, and experience level with certain exercises. Keep that in mind. The key factor to keep in mind is, can the prescribed exercises be performed correctly? Let me pause right here. This is, if not the most important thing I'm saying, this is the most important thing that I'm saying. Make sure that I'm just so adamant about this because you can't make progress if you're injured. And we kind of, as beginners, we've all been there, want to just get the result. And we're like, well, if I put more weight on, or if I do more, then it will probably speed up the process. Nope, that is not the case. Progressive overload progression is the way that you will progress, how you will get to your result efficiently and quickly. And quickly is subjective. You're like, oh, well, if I do all this super fast, put on the weight, more reps, more sets, instead of me taking 3 months of doing it progressively, nice and slow, won't it take me 3 weeks? Nope, that is not the case. Your body is not accustomed to these types of loads and stresses yet. So there's nothing that physiologically you can do to force your body to do that before it's ready. You have to take the time. It's just the only way. So remember performing these exercises correctly. If you're less experienced, starting with assistant exercises are often better as they require less skill than core exercises. See below the examples and explanations of each. We're about to break that down right now. What does that mean? What are core exercises? Nope, we're not talking about the abdominal. We're not talking about the abs. We're talking about, here we go right now. Core exercises refer to movements which require 2 or more joints. An example of this is a squat and a pull-up. And here's why. It requires the use of 1 or more large muscle groups, legs or back. So the legs for the squat, the back for the pull-ups. And synergistic assistance of 1 or more small muscle groups. So biceps, triceps, neck, forearms, those are smaller muscle groups. Now, and here are some examples here. As you see, doing a pull-up, that is a core exercise. Deadlift, core exercise, using a large muscle group with smaller muscle groups assisting, and overhead press is another one that is a core exercise. Assistant exercises. Not every exercise selected will or need to directly contribute to you achieving your physical goals. Listen to this. Assistant exercises are great for creating and maintaining structural balance, preventing injuries, and rehabilitation. I should also add prehab as well, from injuries. So you want to prevent injuries, and if you do have an existing injury and you want to rehab it, assistant exercises are vital for this. Assistant exercises utilize a single joint and only use 1 large muscle group or small muscles. So here's an example here, bicep curl. This is a assistant exercise, tricep, and why? Because it's utilizing a single joint, and the use of one large muscle group. So as you see here, bicep, that's one joint, it's the elbow there. Tricep, as you see, one joint, it's the elbow there. Shoulder, for the lateral raises, the joint right there, the shoulder joint. Wrapping up here, stick with me. We're almost done with this lesson right here. How do you decide exercise selection? Oh, yeah. How do you decide exercise selection guidelines? So if you're a complete beginner, you've never worked out before, this is your first time taking step in the gym, or you're in your house and you're doing bands or you're doing calisthenics, one exercise per muscle. That's what you're going to be starting with. Starting from the traps, shoulders, traps, chest, shoulders, back, biceps, triceps, abdominals, legs, and calves. So when I say legs, I'm talking about quads, hamstrings, glutes, and then when I'm saying calves, that's the calves. So as you see, you're targeting every muscle group. You're just doing one exercise, not going crazy. Doing one exercise, you could do 2 or 3 sets. We're gonna get into that. I'm not gonna go into that right now, so I'm gonna stop right there. Now, as you see now here, for if you're intermediate or advanced, 2 exercises or more per muscle, incorporated different variations, and select various exercises per muscle group during the week. In instances where you may be suffering from an abnormal condition or injury, which requires more intense supervision, having a personal trainer, I'm going to keep saying this because this is very important, especially if you really want to make substantial progress, or other qualified professionals, is strongly encouraged. To avoid further injury, the exercise selection process may require more scrutiny to ensure it's the right fit for your condition. Keep that in mind. So actually taking into consideration all the factors that you may be experiencing will allow a more specific program plan to be directed to getting you the result that you want. Now we're going to end here with frequency. So frequency selection process consists of the following. Exercise frequency is the amount of exercise sessions performed within a week. So if you're asking like how many, I don't know how many times I should work out, listen to this. Remember, I said, remember your fitness level, your physical readiness level. This is why it's important that you remember that. Fitness readiness level should always be considered when determining factors related to exercise. If you're a beginner, you'll likely require more time to recover from previous exercise sessions. So I do talk about like DOMS, that's delayed onset muscle soreness, which there's a video, you could check that out, and breaking down what is muscle recovery, why does it hurt when I work out, am I injured? You'll get an in-depth understanding of what that is. So there should be at least 1 day, but not more than 3. I'm going to read that again. There should be at least 1 day, but not more than 3 between sessions that target the same muscle group. If there was one factor to always consider, it would be exercise intensity. So you could work out every day technically if your exercises aren't super intense. If you're doing a lot of strength training, resistance exercises that really take a toll and test the muscles, you're going to need a lot more time to recover than doing a little tricep extension for 3 reps and 4 sets or something like that. You're not going to need as much recovery time for things like that. The exercise sessions create the stimulus for muscle growth, but the rest period is where your body repairs and grows stronger. We will be talking about rest and showing you how important rest is. Rest is essential. Without the rest, you're literally wasting your time working out. We'll talk about that soon. How often should I train? So as you see here, in a nutshell, fitness level, if you're a beginner, 2 to 3 times, intermediate 3 to 4 times, advanced 4+. And of course, it depends on intensity of the exercise that you're doing on that day. So that's what will determine exactly how long you'll be able, but this is generally the rule that you should follow for your fitness level. So thanks for watching. See you in the next lesson.